Hello everyone, and welcome to another update preview live stream, aka this thing again. As every 2 weeks, we are here to tell you more about tomorrow's update, which is going to be titled Seal Contracts. My name is Łukasz and I'm Adamite Games Community Manager. You can also know me as Luke, and I'm here with Aaron, who's our producer. You can know him as Bane. That's how you pronounce it. Yeah. So yeah, it's lovely to see you all here. How have you been? How's it going on? Is it also so hot out there where you live? Because right here it's kind of unbearable, and we are quite happy that we can stay in the office a little longer and go back home when it's colder. Today stream is going to be shorter one, mainly because the features that we are introducing are not that streamable. They are cool, they are useful, but they are just not that fun to show, so we are not going to keep you waiting. Let's move on. Aaron, did we add anything to the world map layer?
Yes. Hi everybody. Let's talk about this update. So, seal contracts, it's not about the animals, it's about the seals here. So this update is a smaller one. It still brings a lot of things that I think might be useful and should change the gameplay in a lot of ways. But at the same time, this update is smaller because in the next 2 weeks, you might already know this, we're gonna release the revamped sealed forest update. So with this update today, we're just doing some housekeeping, adding some new stuff for you before the big thing hits in 2 weeks. And of course, you can already play the revamped sealed forest update on the experimental branch, which is the same mechanics but unbalanced in some ways. Not really balanced for settler difficulties and easier difficulties. And it doesn't have the main art.
The cool visual stuff.
Yeah, the visual stuff is amazing with this update.
There was one request on Discord to add some cool animation of reforging the seal. There is one, and when you reforge the seal, you will see the whole process. So, and I think you'll like it. I think you'll like it.
Yeah. So with this update today, we're bringing you some smaller features. The first one is, as the name suggests, it's the seal contract. So one big piece of feedback we've gotten since we released the revamped world map, basically, was that you wanted to, as players, you wanted to have some control over which seals you have on your world map. Or which ones you want to try this time. So, for example, somebody started their normal game. When the update dropped, they had like this choice. We gave you a small choice for the veteran players. If you wanted to start from the beginning, from the bronze seal as here on the map, or if you wanted to start from the most current seal for you. So, for example, Prestige 15. So there was no in between. People wanted to reset their seal progress and so on. They asked for a resets button and so on. We thought that we should maybe do something else. So right now, when you are finishing a cycle, you can finish at any time, even without forging a seal. You can see you have here something like seal contracts in your UI. And this allows you to choose which ones you're gonna have, up to 3 seals. In your next cycle. So, for example, right now in the beginning it's a bit weird because I have a full save with all things enabled, but you will have to win your first 4 seals like a normal progression, in a normal progression. So bronze seal, lead, then silver, then gold, and that'll progress as usual as this time. But then when you win the gold seal, you can choose whatever you want. So for example, I might want to try the hardest seals plus, let's say I want a gold seal somewhere in the middle, so I can have a chill. If I don't make it to the prestige seals, I can have a chill session and just go towards the Viceroy seal. So this allows you to have some freedom with that. And now you can see I have this gold seal here, and yeah, here are the prestige seals. And of course, with this change, you will notice that there are in general more seals on the world map. Previously, when you had 2 types and 2 seals per type, so basically you had 4 seals on the world map. Now you can have up to 3, so you can choose whatever you want here. Here's a small explanation for you. Yeah, and you can go any which way you want. You could, for example, be a gold seal player and you want, to keep the gold seal. You have to bronze seal somewhere on the map if you just don't feel like pushing it, and maybe just put the prestige 20 seal somewhere in the middle. As if you are really crazy with RNG and somehow manage to get there. Yeah, and there are 2 gold seals on the map. Can't find the second one. So there are in total 6 seals on the map right now instead of 4. The other thing with the world map, before I move on to the next feature, is also that we changed the generation of the map. So once you beat the gold seal here, the map will change. That was another piece of feedback we've gotten, that players felt that there's not too many. There were not too many question marks on the world map, too few things to explore, and rather than give you them straight up and just increase the number, we decided to lightly change the generation of the world map the more you progress. So once you beat the gold seal for now, you will start to see more of those markers, and the weights of the different modifiers, will change. So for example, right now, in the middle of the map around the citadel, there are more positive modifiers than negative. At least there is a higher chance for them. But once you are further down your progression, this will change a bit. So you will have a few fewer positive modifiers than negative ones. So the chances for them spawning will be a bit lower. Yes. Question, I see.
Yeah, and hi everyone, hi Wally. Thank you everyone for joining us today. I'm trying to keep a straight face, but I think I just sniffed a very little fly, like those small ones. Sorry, trying not to laugh. Let's move on. And if I sneeze, don't be surprised and cover your ears.
I'm just gonna do some developer magic here. And the other thing with this update, the other big feature coming, is new world events. So I don't want to show them off now. Not all of them at least, but some of them. There are 3 new world events in this update, and they are centered around 2 main design ideas. So the first one is exchanging your citadel resources. So for example, that was another requested feature. You have too many, for example, food stockpiles, and you want to exchange them for artifacts. So there is no real mechanic in the game that allows you to exchange one for the other. But there is now a way to do that if you find the right world event. And I think I found it, but it has the old graphic still in it. Oops, I have a new asset here. But you will see the asset tomorrow after it's updated.
It's quite funny. It's cool. One of the funniest arts in the game.
We made some memes in the office about it. So yeah, you can see here you have this roaming fishman tribe, which can give you artifacts if you offer food for it, or it can give you machinery. And there are others. There's 2 other events which have similar choices. And the other thing, design-wise, we wanted to implement in the new world events in this update was spawning modifiers. So, and this is something we did because when you are a veteran player and you are trying to hunt for some deeds, then yeah, it's sometimes difficult to find the correct ones. So you can find a special event. Find it somewhere. Yeah, here it is, which will, for a price, allow you to choose a world map modifier, which will... Let's try this. So you can click this, and you can choose a world map modifier to spawn in the place of this event. You will have to, of course, pay for that. Some events will be disabled because of, for example, the biome that is in the region, or another modifier nearby, which excludes this one. But you can, choose. Let's say I want to abandon settlement. Now I have one. I don't know why I chose the positive one, because the negative ones give the royal resupplies, but yeah, just to show you. So that should allow you to, change your gameplay a bit if you find this event, and of course hunt for deeds a bit more. Yeah, I think these are the biggest changes, and now we can move on to balance, to UI, because there are some things happening there as well. But maybe in the meantime, are there any questions? Because my chat has broken.
No questions free. So just to sum up, the main feature of tomorrow's update are the seal contracts, and you will be able to pick from 1 to 3 seals, types of seals that will generate in the next cycle. So you can have up to 6 seals of 3 different types, or you can have just 1 type and only 2 seals if you don't want them to clutter your map. And you need to beat the gold seal, so the Viceroy difficulty seal, to unlock this feature.
You can also just have 1 seal if you want. For example, I just want to end the cycle and have the bronze seal and nothing else. I can do that. I don't know why, but maybe if I want to be done with this smallest seal, have nothing else on the world map, and that's fine. So yeah, let's start a random.
So quick question for the new world map event, the last one. Will you immediately go into that hex, or it will be the next settlement you do, so opens a door for stacking world modifiers? So when you select the modifier, do you need to play this game right now, or does it stay?
No. It just spawns the modifier. So for example, if you want to postpone the gameplay on this one field with this event, then you can do that basically. Just that you have to pay it right now because the event will disappear after one game. But you can spawn the modifier, play another game somewhere else, go back to it in the next game, and for example, yeah, that's possible. You could even, if you are extremely lucky, find another event close by and spawn a third modifier, but that would be very rare.
Yeah. Are there still plans to nuke the end cycle button? We don't really want to like remove it. I think what we were considering is like decreasing the number of re-rolling the world map to, I don't know, to make it easier. But there haven't been any.
Yeah, we don't have any plans for that right now. It's just an idea floating around of some small balance change that would allow us to, discourage players from re-rolling constantly. Because, the ability to re-roll a bad roll is cool, but re-rolling a game like constantly and you spend like 20 minutes on that is not really something that too nice. So we're gonna see. There are no plans for that right now. We were just talking about it, and we have some bigger things to do right now.
We must look really tired because one of the questions is, are you getting tired of making this game all the time? We're not really. I mean, there are times. Of course, there are times when you probably would like to play some more Baldur's Gate or other game.
Yeah.
But we are quite lucky to work in a small team, and we're all good friends, so there's no like pressure, and we try to maintain positive atmosphere, and it's fun. Of course, we will probably take some time to rest after the full release. And to play some games from the backlog of the last 3 years. But other than that, it's really cool. It's really cool.
It's if you work with such frequent cadence of updates, like every 2 weeks, then it has to be at some point tiring. But it's not that we don't like the game anymore. It's just that there are some moments for example, in the year where it's more difficult. For example, right now we have this experimental branch on one hand, this update, and then we are on Gamescom. So everything is going to be a bit more difficult because we're going to be in another country. But yeah, it's still fine. Okay, so I can move on with some other changes here. One thing that is pretty big UI wise, and that was requested pretty often, is the option to track resources. So here, and so for example, I have some resource categories here, and I want to track my, let's say this, wildfire and pipes, because why not? So right now you can see I can mark them in the warehouse panel. They are marked with the check mark here, and now a new category has appeared up here, and it has those 3 goods. And you can mark whatever you want, how many icons you just need. Maybe that's a bit too much to be readable, but you can do how you please here.
So let me quickly answer one of the questions. Is the new sealed forest biome delayed to the next update? Yes, it will be released on August 31st, because we decided to delay it for a couple of reasons, mainly because we're going to Gamescom in just a few days, and we were a bit afraid that if anything breaks, we won't be able to fix it. And this is quite a big update. We needed to test it with you on the experimental branch. So yeah, it felt kind of risky. Also, to be completely frank, there are some big games releasing this week, and we were also advised not to release a big update when those games like Gord released. So yeah, and it was really we didn't mind postponing it because of the Gamescom. So it will be available on August 31st, but you can already play it on experimental branch, but without all the cool visual stuff.
Yeah, it's you can play it. The mechanics will probably stay the same. The balance will change, and yeah, there are a lot of cool graphical things happening.
Comment. Love the custom item tracker. Is it possible to save your selection between settlements? This is how it works. It doesn't reset. Whatever you track, it will be tracked the next time you play on the next settlement.
It's automatically tracked. So when I finish the settlement and I start a new one, for example, this category will not appear unless I have the goods. So for example, if I don't have planks, fabric, and bricks, it will stay hidden. But the moment I get my first plank in the game, the category will appear. It will be marked here by default, and it will be in this category. If I mark everything, they will just start appearing in this category as they start appearing in my warehouse. So yeah, it's remembered by default all the time. So that's one big UI change that was, I think, very highly requested on Upvote. And the other thing is that a smaller UI change, Prestige players were asking for the cornerstones, the Stormforge cornerstones to appear in the game history and the Citadel, so now they will appear there. There's also some wording changes with some perks and so on to make them a bit clearer, with some penalties, some cornerstones here and there, just so it's more understandable. And now to the balance, I think we can talk about that. So one big change I have to abandon this. Well, and one big change is to difficulty. So over the last couple of updates, we've noticed that there are some things that we could improve in terms of difficulty. Namely, Prestige 15. It gave you up to this point a longer storm, which is, on one hand, it is a difficulty increase, especially if you are new to Prestige 15. But on the other hand, longer storms aren't really that much of a penalty. They're more of a double-edged sword, so to speak. They sometimes make the game harder because you have to withstand a longer period of hardship, but they sometimes make the game easier because, for example, if a year takes longer, then you can more easily finish objectives that are year-based, or if a year is longer, then you get the new yearly hostility later in the game, but your game length doesn't change. So we decided to change the Prestige 15 modifier to give you something new to play around, which is, I think, a bit more challenging. And that is, more resolve is needed to gain reputation. And that's not just like a flat increase. That is the increase to this one special trait that all races have, all species have, that's decadent. So this one determines how much the resolve threshold, the reputation threshold, will increase the more points a species generates. So for example, humans have their resolve threshold, I think, at 30? Their first resolve threshold at 30, if I'm not mistaken. Or beavers have their first resolve threshold at 30. So if you reach 30 and keep the resolve at this point, they will start generating reputation. You will get your reputation points from that. See? No, they have they have at 30. So they will generate reputation once you hit that threshold. And the moment the first point, the first full point is generated, it will increase by 4. So the next point will need 34. And this effect we added is called malcontents, and it increases the threshold by 2 more points every time you generate a reputation point. So instead of growing to 34 for the second reputation point, it will grow to 36. And yeah, that should make the reputation from resolve gaining a bit more difficult. And so we thought that this is a good exchange for the storm modifier. But the storm doesn't get shorter in prestige games. That's not the case here, because as you can see, I can just change the season and it's still 4 minutes. And that's because we moved this effect. It's no longer a prestige effect, it's a normal stat increase for normal games, but starting from Viceroy. So you might have noticed that Viceroy was the only difficulty in the game that didn't have this text here. It was always like settler is the easiest, it also villagers have a chance to eat less food, Pioneer had more reputation required to win, Veteran had Blightrot and Corruption, and Viceroy also had Blightrot and Corruption up to this point. And we decided to give this longer storm effect to Viceroy, just to, you know, fill that gap, to increase the overall difficulty of the game a bit, because that's another thing I want to talk about, but let's still finish that thought. And then, you know, you have Prestige, which have their own special modifiers. Now, why do we increase the difficulty here on Viceroy? Aside from the fact that, you know, we wanted something new on 15 and we had a gap here. And that's because over the last couple of updates we had we had quite a lot of changes that would make the game a bit easier, and also added tools to, you know, work around your different difficulties and so on during gameplay. For example, house upgrades, for example, you have, in this update, for example, we have roads not scaling with increased construction cost, which we'll get into later. So we wanted to nudge the game a bit in the direction of more challenging again. And this change, as I said previously, is, you know, is a double-edged sword. It will make the game a bit harder, also a bit easier on some points. It will for sure give the storm more meaning in the game.
Yeah, there was one question about the threshold. The threshold is moving by 2 every time you the species generates a full reputation point from resolve.
Yeah, and this depends on the species. It's not always 2. They have their base decadent level, which is high, low, medium, and so on. That makes that changes how much the threshold grows on its own. But this effect on Prestige 15 now will increase that further by 2 points. Yes. Oh yeah. So the storm difficulty. So it will. These changes will, you know, affect the difficulty in various ways. We'll keep an eye on that. If it plays better or worse. As with every change, we always try to, you know, adjust once it's live, and you can tell us if you like it or not, if it's too hard or too easy. We'll see with that. Especially since we're having a big update in the next update, so there's a lot of changes we'll have to, you know, work around with. Yeah, and I said something about roads, so I can move on with that. Another thing with Prestige difficulty, there is this effect for Prestige which increases construction cost. And a lot of other places in the game also increase construction cost. So for example, you know, something that might cost 2 planks will cost 4, and so on and so on. And that's okay for most buildings, but for roads it's always a weird situation, because they cost 1 resource, 1 copper or 1 stone. So we decided to exclude them from those increases. So now if you get a perk or the prestige modifier that gives you this increase, roads will cost 1 stone even on prestige. And that's one thing. Oh, and of course another balance thing. That will make the game a bit easier, but we decided to make that. It's viewing machinery. It was a hated event most of the time. We extended the timer for that, So now you can finish it. You can take a little bit more time to finish it. And the first explosion, it now has 2 explosions. The first one is a small explosion, only 5 fields. It will only kill villagers, destroy trees and resource nodes, and doesn't destroy buildings. And then after that explosion happens, then there's the main explosion, which you all know and love from fuming machinery. So it should be a bit easier to deal with that. We also took a look at the merchant shipwreck event. And for now we're keeping it as is, but the spawn rate is decreased by a small bit, just to make it more bearable.
Yeah, by the way, I see a lot of suggestions, like questions that are also suggestions in the chat. Just so you know, I'm writing them all down, always, every stream, and we will, of course, consider them. But unfortunately, we have so many cool ideas, and we only have a limited time. So we usually recommend using our upvote feature request board. This is the tool where you can post your own ideas and vote for other people's ideas. This gives us a better understanding of what are the priorities for us. So if you have a cool idea, please also add it to the feature request board. It's feedback.eremitegames.com, and yeah, so we keep track of all the new requests and of all the highest rated requests, and whenever we do the planning, so our bi-weekly meeting to plan the new features for the next update, we always go through the top requests. So this is just a tip that there's a higher chance that a highly upvoted feature will be included. Yeah, and I see some people on Discord sharing their ideas and asking people to vote for it. This is also another way to influence the score. Yeah, but yeah, anyways, I do keep track of all the requests here. Things like, can we have a quality of life update when hovering to food inside workshop, a decadent in numbers, low medium, plans to improve the UI selection in certain biomes. They are all on my list, and we won't be able to answer them during the stream because that's not for us to decide. We always do this in group. I can only assure you that we will we are reading, that we are considering those. But I can't confirm right now on the stream if something will be added or not. That's what we do on those bi-weekly meetings. We decide what's going to happen in the next update. Speaking of the next update is the big one, the Ancient Seals, coming on August 31. Yeah, and as we also introduced the new seal contracts feature, you will be able to replay the lower difficulty seals if you want. I know that many of Steam players asked for that on Steam discussions, to be able to replay certain seals. The mechanic is the same for all the difficulty levels, the biome is the same, but if you want, you can, I don't know, do your first seal on lower difficulty level to feel more confident when approaching it on your default difficulty.
Yeah, the only difference there will be probably with there is some new mechanic that you win a game by not really completing the resolve, the reputation bar here, but by completing some required like objectives by the seal. And on lower difficulties, for sure on Settler, those numbers required there will be a bit smaller than on the higher difficulty. That will be the only thing based on. Yeah, so let's move on with the changes. There's still something left to tell you about. Other than the balance changes and so on, we also did a pretty big rebalance to timed orders. This is always a hot topic when it comes to people liking them, being able to finish them, and so on. So we just, took a closer look. We made some orders a bit easier. We changed some orders rewards. Just, trying to make them more attractive, more rewarding, and flesh out some of the orders that were a bit overtuned, maybe. But yeah, there's quite an extensive list of changes. It will come with tomorrow's changelog. You'll be able to see every detail there of what changed and so on. In general, we try to keep them difficult still because they timed orders with a lot of good rewards. But yeah, we know that some of them were a bit too hard to fit. And other than that, I think there's just a few small balance changes, except for revamped perks. We shuffled around a few upgrades in the Citadel. There was some feedback about, for example, training expeditions being located too high, or additional caravan goods being a bit too high on the level range, so we lowered that. There's also one change that you might have noticed while watching me play, is that we changed how villagers behave when walking through buildings and objects. So they will slow down a bit when walking through objects. And that's just to make it a bit more feasible and, to create this small need for roads and spaces between your buildings. So if they have just like a path through multiple buildings from a glade and you don't really care about road placement and so on, they will just take longer because they will have to move throughout the buildings.
Yeah, so this is the result of a multi-page Steam thread regarding the settlement optimization and the purpose of roads and how it's better to place buildings together because the villagers can walk through buildings. This is to avoid any, issues. It probably still will be more. It will be better to, I don't know, maybe not better, but it still will be more profitable for you to not place roads if you don't want to.
We didn't want
it's
to.
Not that it won't be that better now.
Yeah, we didn't really want to force you to connect roads to every building or add a big system around that. But it's just, a small change that will reward players who are more inclined to build.
And make roads better.
That combined with the fact that roads no longer scale with the construction costs effects will probably cause roads to be a bit more desirable in settlements. We'll see.
Okay, so let me do my usual reminder that every 2 weeks when we release the update, your settlements have to be forced finished. So what will happen tomorrow between 1 p.m. and 3 p.m. UTC or maybe 4 p.m. UTC? We've been pushing them a bit later recently because of how long it takes to build and upload recently. I don't exactly know what changed. But it's taking us a little bit longer than usual. So 1 p.m., 4 p.m. UTC, this is we probably will release the update between the time tomorrow. So when it happens, your settlement will be forced finished, but you will get meta resources, Citadel resources in return. There was a related question regarding your progress and stuff. So will the progress be reset when the full version is released? No, your meta progress will never be erased. So when the game transitions to the 1.0 version, you will keep all the Citadel resources that you gathered, your experience level, all the upgrades that you purchased. So it will stay. We only need to reset your settlements because there are 3 layers of save files, the save file for a settlement, the save file for cycle, and the save file for meta progression. We only reset the cycle progress twice when we made big changes to the world map, and I don't think it will happen maybe on the full release, I don't know, but we usually need to reset the settlements only, so your latest run. And there was another question regarding runs, settlements, how long does it usually take people? So this is actually an interesting question, and if you can let us know in the chat how long you usually take to finish one settlement, because we've seen different values. Some people finish it under an hour, some people take more time. So I don't really know if there's like an average. Probably also depends on the difficulty, on all the upgrades that you purchase and your experience playing the game. Yeah, under an hour. There are people who finish games under an hour. Yeah, 30 minutes to 4 hours.
That's the right range. Yeah. Yeah. So other than all of these changes to balance and UI, I'm looking at my sheet here. There also were 3 perks and 1 forest mystery that we some time ago we simply disabled, and you couldn't really find them in the game. That was because we changed how we introduced some new system to perks where you could get timed penalties and timed bonuses for them. So for example, you would get 5 resolve per open glade, and that would stack the duration, not the effect. And after we changed that, the duration stacking wouldn't really work that well. We redesigned them, and we changed the exploration expedition perk, the thrill of exploration, and frequent caravans. There will have some different logics that were attached to them after this update. And the Gentle Dawn, I even have it here, Forest Mystery now scales off of small glades, and it increases planting duration, planting speed. So again, we'll see how that works, affects the balance, and probably introduce some more perks if these ones prove interesting. Yeah, and other than that, this one bigger thing. In previous updates, when we forced finished your settlement, and you were having, for example, you had a citadel cycle bonus for one next game or for whatever duration, and this game was cut short by an update, then you would lose that effect. It'll still happen with this update. So for example, if you have an effect that gives you more, let's say, I don't know, resolve in your next settlement, and it's only for the duration of your next settlement, and we finish your game, force finish by an update, you will lose that effect. But starting from the next update, it will no longer happen. We had to change some backend during this update, this newest one. We changed the save structure and so on, so some boring behind the scenes stuff to make it possible in the future for you to not lose such effects when an update happens. To make up for the fact that in this update you still will lose such effects, you will gain a free royal resupply box when we delete your save from the settlement save. So yeah, that will be something that should make up for, we hope, for that small inconvenience, and in the future you should no longer lose those cycle effects. And that's, I think, it for the changelog. There are some bug fixes as always, text fixes, text changes.
Yeah, so 2 other announcements. As we mentioned, we're going to Gamescom next week, so we are probably going to be less active on Discord. So yeah, apologize in advance if there are some pressing matters. It will probably take us a little longer to respond. We'll be checking in every day, nevertheless. And of course, if you are attending Gamescom, we'll be at Hooded Horse booth in Hall 10.1, where the show floor is. So yeah, it would be awesome to meet you in person if possible. And yeah, there's also a makeship campaign going on. I'm sharing link in the chat. So makeship.com/products/beaver villager plush. What you need to do, I mean, you don't need to do anything, sorry. What you need to know is that the campaign will last until September 3. That's the last time when you can get the plushie. It's the Beaver Villager. I think it's really cute. Aaron, you have it on your desk.
Sorry,
can you show it?
I'm just playing the game. It's a beaver.
It's a beaver. You can remove its hood, like take it off. This one has no ears. And this is the one that we received for approval, but the one that you're ordering has ears, and we're also adding an exclusive beaver villager in peril art that Damian, our graphic designer, created. It's kind of cute. It's for desktop and for tablets. The beaver costs $29.99 plus shipping cost, and it's the makeship estimates they will ship it by the end of November. That's it. I think that's it. So thank you everyone for joining us today. We hope you'll have fun with the new update, and as always, please share your feedback with us once you get to play the update. Let us know what you like, what you don't like. We really appreciate it. It means a lot, and it helps us plan the things for the upcoming updates.
Yeah.
Thank you everyone, and right now we are going to raid Ron Empire. Have a great day. Bye bye.
Thank you.